Hi, my name is Dennis Gibbs with the Imperial Valley Discovery Zone, and we want to talk with you for just a few minutes today about the experience that you and your students might have if you come and visit the Outbreak exhibit. So come on with me and we'll have a look at what there is to offer inside. So IVDZ's Outbreak exhibit was built by Imperial Valley Discovery Zone. And the idea is that we wanted to take advantage of a program that the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. has to get some of their exhibits out into the public. So we applied for and received permission to utilize much of the graphics that the American Museum of Natural History, the Smithsonian, uses in their exhibit called Outbreak. So what you'll be seeing comes from that particular museum. We're fortunate enough to take advantage of some of the graphics work that the Smithsonian did to create this exhibit. They had a number of different national sponsors that sponsored this Outbreak exhibit, which deals with humans and disease. So this Outbreak exhibit essentially deals with the way that disease is spread from person to person and within societies and how we deal with disease once it is present. So you can imagine that because these graphics are built for a museum attending audience, they may be a little bit elevated in terms of some of the vocabulary and the content in terms of a younger group of kids. So what we have happening here is we have high school students, some of our high school explainers, that will come alongside your students and explain each one of these posters in detail so they can understand exactly what they're referring to. During that time, your students will typically have a worksheet form or something where they can gather information about each one of these posters so that they can garner some meaning over what they're all about. So when your students come in, they'll be exposed to about 18 of these posters designed by the Smithsonian to explain different aspects of disease prevention and what happens when disease actually spreads. So looking at the way that outbreaks occur. So you'll have 18 of these different posters professionally designed by the Smithsonian that we have in the Outbreak exhibit. One of the components that we thought might need a little bit of augmentation is what happens within the human body when it's exposed to some form of pathogen. And so we added some additional material to the exhibit to explain what happens within our bodies when we're exposed to those pathogens and maybe contract some form of a disease. So we also added some additional panels here. They're patterned after an actual cartoon that was generated by Arizona State University that deals with what happens in our bodies when they are attacked by a virus. So this viral attack portion of the exhibit deals with the functions within our body that keep us from getting too sick and also preventing us from getting sick later. So we deal with both of those ideas in this portion of the exhibit that deals with immune response. In addition to the 18 posters, the graphics that the kids will be exposed to, there are also 4 different audiovisual exhibits, portions of the exhibit, which deal with disease. So some of them are having the students figure out what the disease is that a person has based upon symptoms. Others are, we have a game or two that deals with the way that the immune system works. So those are all interactive exhibits that your students will have the opportunity to interact with. We have some audio-visual examples of items that the Smithsonian has put together that deal with different types of diseases that your students can also interact with. And so this tells the story, for instance, of how COVID-19 got begun, how SARS was generated. There's one in here from YouTube that talks about measles. So it's a variety of different viruses, and we talk about how they influence our bodies in the form of a video. One of our AV experiences that the students can take advantage of, designed by the Smithsonian, is a simulation that discusses the idea that it takes a number of different health professionals to prevent the outbreak and spread of the outbreak of disease. So this particular exhibit gives them the chance to serve as one of those health professionals. So they can choose a particular role and then accomplish several missions.
This graph shows the number of new cases over time. The red line shows what we think will happen if we don't take any action. The green line shows the best possible outcome. The blue line shows our performance. The flatter the curve, the better we're doing. Our first step is to identify the disease so that we can figure out what's making people sick. You have 1 minute to complete your mission. Let's go.
So I'll allow this to continue to run, but they would actually do this particular mission, which would include collecting different types of samples. In the end, they would either help slow down the outbreak or would hasten its arrival. The last AV opportunity that they have, something they can look at and interact with, is a simulation of the human immune system. Specifically, you've got a character, a macrophage, that basically is going to search the body that's in the simulation and find different disease to eradicate. So this is a favorite. You can get kids that come in here and they'll play this. They'll get on this game for quite some time. And sometimes we have to chase them off because they're so interested in it. But it's learning by playing is what this one essentially is. Also included in the exhibit is some models of different types of pathogens for different diseases. So each of these has been printed, and for instance, this one is the Ebola virus. And below that, below each one of them, there's going to be a card that talks about what the symptoms are if a person contracts this particular disease. One of the things that the students do here is they're going to be given a card, and the card has a variety of a fictitious person and then a variety of symptoms, and their chore is essentially to take this card with the symptoms on it, and based upon observation of the different, underneath the different models of the symptoms that exist, they decide what disease does this person have given the symptoms. As we envision it, we think the Outbreak exhibit is probably appropriate for grade levels between 3rd all the way up through high school. There's going to be significant amounts of scaffolding for the younger kids, but we think that they can garner some real benefit from it. There's also some different activities that we'll have them do when they come in. So we hope to see you come out. Please contact us at IVDZ if you're interested in coming to check it out.